hits the same power spikes. He's strong on the same timers as she is, so I think it's a reasonable lane matchup. If you're going to take the Galio, I already don't like this. You're going to have Galio and Mbessa plus the Alistar versus a Rise, a Poppy. Like, all three of these champions, I think, are perfect counters for when Jindong are showing here. So they're going to need massive amount of damage, I think, coming in from their bottom lane.
Yeah, I mean, this would have been a great Kindred angle for Shun, but unfortunately that's banned away. Not going to be able to be selected here by JDG. Hard carry for Peyz, name of the game. I expect those to be the topics of bans for Weibo this time around. Things like Aphelios, Jinx that can really take over a game. Definitely vulnerable here is Weibo's composition to the likes of that.
If they're just going for lane, JDG would be opting for maybe a Lucian. We'll see what Weibo are willing to get rid of. You obviously are not really excited about paying Kalista from the side of JDG. They're going to ban away the Vi. I think also you have to think about what junglers. I wonder if this is going to be JDG picking up their AD carry on 4 and letting Shun have counter pick, because there are, I think, a couple of angles here that a player like Shun can take advantage of if he really feels like he's been playing well. We just talked about it, so you got house money, as we've been saying, for JDG. You got at least 2 games you can throw away. If Shun wants a freebie here, let him play a Viego. Let him play a Nidalee game.
You know, the other interesting part of this is now that JDG are up 2-0, being experimental in your draft not only allows you to try things out for a potential matchup against IG, but also can take away from Weibo even if they're able to win this game for the future because we are in that true fearless format. All things to consider as a Nocturne going to be banned away from Shun as well. He has had his pool pinched quite significantly. See what he ends up going for. The Ziggs is an interesting one. Would not necessarily love it. Definitely need some high damage though, and the Nefiri definitely fits that bill.
Okay, Nefiri's going to do fine about getting into the bottom lane, and now we need to see from Weibo what exactly is their comp going to do, because they can play a split push game. I think they're going to be more than happy about walking into team fights. They are a little short range, but when you see what JDG are having, you have so much dive from just these first 3 alone, and then you add Nefiri on top of that. We are going to get the Rakan, so the ability to just lock down this team fight. I think it is incredibly tough for JDG to try to take a front to back, and they have a lot of ways of, from Weibo's side, being able to pivot very easily. I think the solo lanes alone should be able to carry this game for Weibo. It doesn't really matter what AD carry Light ends up picking, but Azeri is going to make it even more difficult.
We did see how good of a game Xiaoxu did have on the Renekton last time, and Bessa fitting a similar playstyle in this game specifically, going to have to lock down a big carry. Backline carry could be a Smolder here for Light. Does leave him vulnerable, though, to a really nice lane matchup, or they're just going to handshake it. Zeri for Peyz on R5.
All right, this duo can be a bit more aggressive. I mean, Peyz is just going to get the Lightning Crash. He has a lot of lockdown from his team. Gives him the ability to get away from the Yorick and his kind of stuff, but I still think that we get into a spot 25 minutes into this game, and Weibo, as long as they're not behind, they're going to have a really strong 2-item spike. You're going to be potentially sitting with like 180 to maybe 225 on Smolder at that time. You're going to have 2-item Rise, who's incredibly tanky. It'll take a long time for this JDG lineup to put down Weibo. But can we get there? Weibo have not had good early games. JDG seem like they've come prepared, and they've come at least willing to play the first 10 minutes, even if maybe some further portions aren't as clean.
Yeah, definitely a slow burn in terms of these team fights and how they are to be played out on JDG's side. Whereas for Weibo, they got a really interesting composition that I'm excited to see what they do exactly. You have a great 1-3-1 setup, obviously, with the Yorick and the Rise, but then you have this Smolder, who provides a bit of an X factor, going to be able to clear the waves out, get those stacks up, and eventually come to play in the team fights. But I feel like Weibo want to try to avoid some of those 5v5s, at least for the first few minutes of this game. We'll see how that ends up coming into fruition, though, because that's been what JDG been able to do very well in the first 2 games. Team fight, team fight, team fight. It's resulted in them coming up to match point and forcing Weibo to begin a potential reverse sweep to keep their hopes in the regional finals alive.
It's going to be potentially one last game. Every game from here on out counts for Weibo. If JDG are able to win here tonight, they go tomorrow versus IG. Victor will be able to play against that team in less than 24 hours. Let's get it on going. Can Weibo bounce back?
战场，碾碎他们。
Only time will tell. I feel like we're going to be here a while again. That last game, almost 40 minutes. Talk this one. We got a Smolder. We got a Zeri. I feel like the scaling is going to be what both these teams opt for, especially on Weibo's side, being extra cautious, given that this is an elimination match.
Zeri also has a lot of early skirmishing potential, so while Alistar level 1 isn't the most impactful, what they can do is just knock away Crisp right before he lands the Grand Entrance, and then open up a bit of an angle for Peyz and Zhuo to get some decent damage down onto the Smolder. Remember, all about hitting 225. You have a very strong spike on 2.5 and 3 items here for Weibo. I think as this game does go late, JDG are going to have to find advantages, so getting these early dragons are going to be so important for them.
See some prio already being set up by JDG as they got to the bot lane first. Hey, as we get junglers starting on the opposite sides of the map, and an Alistar level 1, we want to give a quick shout out on the LPL English broadcast to Protiv, sponsors of us here on the show. If you want to get high-level coaching from a numerous amount of pros, including those from the ERLs, the LTA, and the NACL, you can use the code LPL10 at protiv.gg to get your coaching and to level up your game today. Thank you so much to Protiv for sponsoring us here on LPL English. They've been a great partner as we have wrapped up Split 3 here.
Junglers going to opposite sides of the map, and this is the problem that I have with this mid matchup. Like, Scout has to trade a lot of his HP early on to try to move Xiaohu. See Peyz and Zhuo move forward. It should be fine. He has the fleet footwork, but you're just giving Rise time in this game. This is exactly what he wants, and you don't even have a composition that I think can very easily overwhelm him.
See a little bit here of what Breathe is able to do into the Mbessa as the Yorick. A lot of good dueling power early on. And speaking of duels, we got one towards the bottom lane. And there's already a heal and a barrier used on the Weibo 2v2. Zhuo and Peyz making their presence known like they have in the laning phase of all 3 games so far.
This is tough. This is kind of what you sign up for, though, with this matchup. Only knew that the Alistar was there, obviously, and then it was Zeri on 5, but very, very tough. This is kind of the only lane that JDG are going to be able to win, so how JDG are able to leverage this advantage, at least early on, should be fine. And I will note that for as much damage as Light is taking right now, he is still stacking up at a fine pace, at least for where we are now. So all he has to do is just staunch the bleeding, stop anything. There's not even really a dot.
Oh, Tian, beautifully executed dive. One more auto, gonna be necessary. Breathe will go down in a trade. It started off so well, but Xiaoxu able to dodge away just enough to make it a 1-for-1.
Gonna still be the plate being split there by Breathe and Tian. It's gonna be mostly a wave missed here by Xiaoxu. So experience going over to them. Can they get any real damage?
Newton's Law of League of Legends, reaction on one side, equal and opposite on the other. As Chris gonna get taken down by Peyz, and a teleport's already been channeled here by Breathe to try to make things even. As JDG have the advantage for now. And that's gonna be it here, as Light not doing enough to slow it down the retreat.
Okay, now Xiaoxu gets a lone wave to himself, so this is 2 waves. Tian's gonna have to hold this. This means that he's not clearing, he's not getting anything done. Either resetting or trying to look for something. This is a pretty fat wave too, so good guy Tian. Someone's gonna get this experience. It's gonna be Rakan for the time being.
I mean, that's not much better, but you get at least some coming into Light, which is all right, I think. No, I think he misses it all.
He misses every single last one of these. Damn,
my Rakan's gonna be OP this game, guys. It's fine.
Oh boy, that is 2.5 minion waves being missed out there by Weibo. So this is what happens though. Like Breathe, because he died later and because Xiaoxu invested to teleport topside, Breathe tries to make his way over. Light misses out a wave on the bottom side. Will say, even with all of this gold, you look at the recalls right now. It is completed items here, or completed boots here for Peyz. I'm seeing Light with a call. That's fine into the Mbessa early.
Perhaps a position where Weibo could have tried to cut their losses a little bit. However, I think they will be happy with this, lane flop setup. Breeze's gonna be fine clearing out this wave, although he was doing great to the Mbessa as well. But the priority is not Yorick getting ahead, it is making sure that Light can get the stack. So as much as you can prioritize that, the better.
Yorick can also just 1v2 these guys. Once he hits level 6, like, I don't think that JDG's bottom lane can very realistically make much happen here. You see that JDG, though, trying to use that priority that we were talking about, play around the bottom side. Maybe an opening here for Scout.
As Flash, knowing that he would not be able to use Justice Punch once Tian came in with that steadfast presence. So instead, utilizing that summoner spell to keep himself alive. It should let the Conquer get procced, but not able to find too much more.
They want to get the Dragon. Ping's coming out onto it. Peyz is going to start this. It's that range versus melee matchup because they have the bot lane duo in this manner, but Smolder is stacking. This was the advantage and the win condition that we'd set up for JDG early on. Try to get yourself into a position where you can get the Dragons, and that has not been a problem, at least starting off the game. They've gotten themselves to Dragon Soul point in each one of these games here in this series. Some of the games have not been as clean with getting and finishing those objectives.
Yeah, right. You see Breathe giving a ton of hurt onto Peyz, forcing that hero's entrance to come out. It means that the Yorick dies, but nice use of resources
top side.
come through from JDG, and that means a dive can happen onto Xiaoxu on the backside, I think. Xiaohu running into the bush to try to get some vision, going to take a whole chunk of damage. And now we'll see if this Mbessa can survive. She has a public execution, but is going to come at the hands of Tian, who lands another easy stun into the wall. Should be enough damage. That ultimate does not connect this time around. And they're going to wait for the tower to reset before finishing the job eventually. A well-executed dive will be finished off as Light gets the kill, but no, it comes at the cost of Crisp dying. Xiaoxu somehow making it a trade 2 times in a row.
And can he chase them out? Scout doesn't know where Smolder is. He's going to think he's in this brush. Can he try to find it? Light is barely going to be able to slink away here. Very tight timers, but it feels like everything for Weibo in this series is 1 step forward, 1 step back. We get the kill onto Xiaoxu, Chris ends up dying. We try to make a play on the bottom side, we end up trading. This is not good for them, and you do not want to be having situations where you're trying to go even versus JDG in the early game. So Breathe dies on bottom side, he gets those buttons. They will not have them available for these grubs on the top side, and I don't think that Weibo should be looking to contest right now. Like, we're getting closer to level 6 for our bottom lane duo here. Yes, we have more buttons than our opponents, but I think we're more focused on trying to play this out. I say that, I see Breathe moving on forward.
Yeah,
he doesn't have Maiden, so why are we fighting?
You bring up a lot of good points. I counter with Weibo. They see that they have Yorick and Ryze in their composition. They're like, we have to get at least one of these grubs, and it looks like that's going to be the call. They should at least secure one, as they have been able to do for the past couple of games. Actually, JDG are not in the best position to set this up. They're happy to just give plates over to Xiaoxu, who has been punished a lot. So it is going to be a conscious effort by Weibo to at least secure the grubs, hoping that that means the benefit of at least more than 2 plates into the back half of this game.
Okay, they do protect the Raptors here, which is very good for one of these junglers. Shun's also trying to screen, get Xiaoxu a little bit more time on the bottom lane wave. Another plate going over to him, as we saw. They didn't have the heroic entrance. You can see that JDG didn't feel like they were in position. I figured, like, okay, there's not enough ways for Weibo to play out this fight, but if you just walk up, and especially if you have a Poppy, I guess you can very easily make those numbers happen. So 2 members here for bottom side, and Xiaoxu does need to be a little bit careful, especially here against the Ryze.
See how much impact those grubs have as Xiaoxu does dash forward. However, being Mbessa, you get a lot of dashes in those kids to get out very easily as soon as you sense that maybe some danger has presented itself. So it will just be the Mbessa backing away. Slight gold lead over to JDG at this point of the game. However, Weibo, we do like their ability to scale, especially with the Smolder, so this is a fine position overall to be.
Scott's just going to use the phase rush. Light's going to be sitting in mid lane. There's no pressure onto him. It's only around these objectives that they need to be worried about.
The 2v3 action showing up here as Xiaohu gets chunked down to half HP. Actually, a teleport coming forward from Xiaohu will be able to get there fine without being in any sort of danger, as we're seeing a lot of musical chairs in the lane so far for Weibo Gaming. They're trying to get themselves into the best positions possible in all 3 of the sides. Thought that maybe Xiaohu was going to rotate back up to the top lane to match into the Mbessa, but instead it looks like Breathe takes a reset and is going to head right back there, whereas Xiaohu TP's mid and then heads back bot.
It's just important for them to be relatively in the area of this dragon. You can kind of see right now that dragon spawns in 50 seconds. Mbessa's going to push a wave, now is going to drop into Fog of War. A lot of this is so much vision coverage from Weibo. They have every entrance of the jungle from JDG's red side covered immediately in wards. So watching how Crisp right now moves out on the map, doesn't have teleport, Zhuo does. So even if Zhuo gets caught or gets chunked out, which doesn't seem like that's going to be the case because there's no numbers here, he can immediately look for another play on the other side of the map or get right back into the fray here.
Right now, Weibo preferring to steer away from that second dragon and instead get some side laning power as the maiden is popped by Breathe. Not a ton of setup around that pit just yet for either of them. However, we do have Light off of a reset, and while the Smolder is certainly not stacked up to 225 yet, does now have an Essence Reaver. Gonna come in response to the Yuntals picked up for Peyz though, and at this point, the Zeri definitely the stronger champion, which means that Weibo gonna have a hard time trying to pick this one up.
Wait, Shun just got absolutely scammed. The dog walked out of the brush and gave vision to Weibo. They immediately pinged him out in the brush there. That's not supposed to happen. It's literally coded. That was one of the appeals of this champion, was that Riot was like, guys, we know that we're adding dog AI into the game.
So I don't trust
Promise
AI.
it won't come back in. I know you shouldn't, but they can enter late here as JDG. You still have the Galio ultimate to join late.
It's a bold decision to have Weibo try to start this dragon up, although getting one would be huge. Take a look at the flank. It is Scout able to taunt up 3 members of Weibo, but he takes a lot of his HP in response. Chris gets a knockup, but he's immediately taken down as teleports have come in from both top laners. Public position lands onto Tian. It's going to be a big hero's entrance, but everybody at Weibo was able to flash away the health bars very much now on Weibo's side. Mom's already come out. Xiaohu able to get a lot of damage in with the overload, and here comes the Realm Warp, and in go Weibo, straight into the back line. Peyz crashes in though. He gets a double kill, looking for more as the lightning crash is still on cooldown and still unlocked here for the 80 carry of JDG. Overall, it's a 2 for 2 with nobody claiming the Drake.
Weibo, they stop the dragon. They get lots of summoner spells out for that play, but Peyz is 5-0. You have to think about what you're giving up in these trades. You got his flash, you got Scout's flash as well. Take a look back at this replay. I thought immediately off the rip this was going to be the first engage. I like this combo from Zhuo. Saves the headbutt to try to get around the steadfast presence. But Light is stacking during all of this, and more importantly for me, this Rise is a menace. The solo lanes of Weibo have been needed here in this series, and finally in game number 3, it feels like they've been giving the tools and the ability to actually play this one out. Xiaohu lets it rip with all the spell flux. I think if Peyz doesn't take this E over the wall, you get a massive taunt as we see here from Zhuo. He would not need the flash, and he probably wouldn't be able to get maybe even Light here in this play. But trying to get away from Breathe means that it's not a play here for JDG at the time, but they're going to get lots of kills on their AD carry and at least a dragon from the bottom lane.
The response will be the first turret of the game here for Weibo on the top side tier 1, but getting that second dragon is crucial for JDG, especially because Weibo spent a lot of time trying to prevent that from happening. He's going to come essentially in a trade as Xiaoxu is here for free on that bottom side of the map. So the gold slightly still tilted towards JDG, but the big thing we have to talk about now, Peyz 5-0 on the Zeri. You could talk Smolder scaling all you want. This Zeri's still going to be a huge issue in the late game.
He's close to second item. Whoa, Tian, that ultimate was useless, brother. Oh, lightning crash,
a lot of
cleanse
damage
from
though.
Peyz,
With
okay.
teleport coming in from Scout, Justice Punch lands onto 1, and Crisp able to escape alongside Light, and they chunk out Shun enough for the final tower shot to do the deed. It's a 1-0 in favor of Weibo, but the public execution lands onto the Smolder, and Xiaoxu will take him down. Breathe finally arrived in the fight. It's the 4v4 now unlocked. Knockup lands here onto the Ambassador, but he flashes away here from that cage. Taunt lands onto 3, and here comes Peyz, still untouched, finally eating the shovel, but a nice stun comes through from Zhuo to make sure the Yorick doesn't do any more damage. And that's going to be another team fight win for JD Gaming with Peyz still alive. Another stun lands on a Tian, and it is an absolute wipe in the mid lane.
There we go. They get the mid-tier 1 as well. They're going to get flash from Light. They kill the Smolder, get Peyz even more fed, and Scout has been landing so many impactful taunts here. He's getting multi-man taunts, multiple fights in a row here. If you take a look at this Tian ult, that is tough. That's the worst part of this fight here. And somehow, for Weibo fans, it does in fact get even worse from here. Teleport in from Scout, lands it onto Crisp and Light. That's the flash from the Smolder taken away. This is a tough spot to fight from if you are JDG, because we talked about the range advantage that is going over to Weibo. But this ultimate from Xiaoxu, Man, his Mbessa has gotten better throughout the season. It was a champion that was a little bit iffy on about him being able to perform, but not only being a takeaway from Breathe, he has been kind of the clutch factor in these last 2 fights for the team.
Even the Renekton in Game 2 having a very high impact. Xiaoxu from RNG to JDG and taking full advantage of it. Sets up for his carries very adamantly here in that fight around the mid lane. Sure, Scout goes down, but it's only here to the Poppy. And JDG have expanded their gold lead to 2.5K.
And Peyz is 1,700 of that. He has a Phantom Dancer and a Yuntal Wild Arrows. We're starting to get to that point. We said around 25 minutes, Weibo should be feeling good. It's 16.5 and we're at 147, so a little below average, but nothing I think too worrisome quite yet. But for JDG, they have gotten the first 2 dragons of the game. They didn't get any of the grubs, but they are going to be contesting for this Herald here. It is on complete vision from the side of Weibo.
It's gone.
Yeah, I mean, Xiaohu's not going to contest it. He wants a couple waves on the bottom side. He wants to finish his Seraph, so come time for that dragon in a minute and a half, maybe that Otacon in 3, that is where Weibo are going to have to make their stand.
JD Gaming, in a season marred with inconsistencies and underperformances, still have a chance at Worlds, and that is the chance that they've been hoping for all year long. And somebody who definitely wants to get back there is their AD carry, and you can see it in the gameplay, you can see it in how he's presented himself all season long in Peyz. Obviously, when JDG got eliminated from the playoffs, they were wondering how much they were going to be able to look for as Xiaoxu just survives another gank with ease. And back to Peyz for just a second here, Ulk. I mean, this guy, we think of him as like a guy who's been on Gen G for a while. He's still 19 years old. There's still so much of this player's story to tell.
Yeah, the 2 years on Gen G, got a lot of international acclaim for the series that we got to see him win. And I want to kind of posit that even at the end of the year, it feels like JDG, kind of a team of, I think the term that me and Rafa were trying to use is like misfit aces or misfit kings. Because you have Xiaoxu and Zhuo from bottom of the barrel group Nirvana teams. I mean, RNG is literally playing an LDL, or they're supposed to anyway, but
they're not.
Potentially liquidated and being foreclosed on. We'll see how that ends up going into 2026. Peyz gets booted off again for ruler spot. And Sun is coming off of a World Finals with BLG. So I don't know how these pieces all landed here together, and it's been one hell of a difficult year. I mean, the peak of the year coming into the split was Split 1. Split 2 was a disaster, and now they're on the precipice of having one more shot, one last chance to send this team to Worlds.
And isn't that the beauty here of the regional qualifier? You can erase any mistakes, just a couple of good days in a row, and that's what JDG are trying to accomplish. Again, this roster was real ragtag. I mean, this was one of the last ones fully formulated going into the Demacia Cup. And obviously, it took some reorganizing and reconfiguring, but right now, it is looking the best that it has all 2025 long. We have that Mountain Dragon spawned on that bottom side of the rift, and JDG want to get themselves their 3rd straight soul point.
Can they enter? Bree's gonna have to teleport in for this play. Scout as well. I don't know why we're going for this topside wave right now. Not only are you gonna be late, he has to move now. You're gonna see the teleport on the bottom lane wave. As long as JDG can stall this out, he's TPing.
Oh, immediately a snap engage on the Xiaohu. He's forced to half HP, but still alive for now. Chris, with a really nice grand entrance, is going to be allowed for Jun to pick up the first kill of the fight. Light is not at 225 just yet, but that's going to be a big step forward here for the Smolder, as Weibo have prevented JDG from starting up the Dragon.
Jesus, I mean, Shun still has Flash. He had his call of the pack there. Weibo, they're going to be able to redeploy themselves. It's Chris coming out of base. The teleport here from Xiaohu. Another potential soul point. And I don't think that Weibo are going to have time to be able to do the Dragon and the Otacon. But if they're feeling frisky, they might leap. They've got a lot of damage. They definitely invested a lot towards the bottom side. They're going to give it up in trade. Maybe if they find one more pick, if they can catch Scout, maybe Xiaohu overextends. There could be an angle for them to look for it.
No, they shouldn't, though. They got to wait for Light to get to 225 at the very least. Unless JDG started up themselves, then you can take advantage of some of that shredded resistances. Peyz coming back here to the fight. Jun arriving to the bottom side of the map. How is Light going to be able to get those stacks? You see him in the mid lane, stacking up as many waves as he can. He's at 200, not going to be at that threshold yet as JDG start this one up.
can find some splash damage on the targets, it's good. Tian has the smite, but no flash. Same for Xiaohu. And there's no mom to call upon.
Tian looking, hunting for some sort of steal. The Keeper's Verdict still on cooldown, so no way to get Jun out of the pit. In goes Scout. He lands a taunt on a 3, and that's getting the Otacon secured by Tian and Weibo Gaming. He will go down into the 1-for-0 so far, but here comes Shun with a call in the pack. It takes down the Rakan, and the public execution lands on a breathe as well. JDG lose the Otacon, but they will surely win the fight.
And now it's going to be the Rift Herald on top of that. They're going to lose more. Light has 8 stacks before he has an execute, but I don't think it's going to be enough here. Weibo are going to need to survive another 3.5 minutes in this game because there's going to be a Baron they're going to have to fight for. There's going to be a Rod of Ages being completed. They need to get items onto Tian, finish that second item for your Poppy, and get right back into the fight. So much crowd control being stacked here by JDG that it is almost impossible for Weibo to really plant their feet and get that damage down that we were thinking.
And you see the KDA for Peyz. It's 9-0. Amazing. We've sung his praises so much here in this game. But Scout on this Galio, also playing tremendously multiple times, finding 3 members or more with his taunts like we see here.
Like Scout game 1, that guy was near impeccable. Scout in game 2, a lot more tricky, but the Galio, like you mentioned, has had so much utility. And I love the way that they think about this from JDG is that they really try to get as much as possible from these plays. They don't use the Galio ult on the first engage. They use it on the secondary one, following up to really hammer home the objective. You might not be able to get away with that versus a lot of the better teams, and especially in much closer games, but for JDG here in this one, it's working for them, and that's what that matters right now. So they're going to be pushing on mid and top, seeing what damage they can get onto these structures, and more importantly for me is looking at these 3 items here for Peyz. Can we get a third for some of our other carries here so that we walk into a Dragon Soul point fight feeling confident?
Sonic to throw underneath the tier 2. Dangerous fight for JDG to try to go for on the dive, but they're going to do it anyway, and they take the Smolder down. It comes at the cost of Zhuo falling, and the Keeper's Verdict knocks away Peyz to make sure that they cannot find any more. It's a 1-for-1, but it's 80 carry for support, and JDG very happy with that.
Finally, Poppy has something to say. In this game number 3, we cast our minds. We saw missed Poppy ultimate in the mid-wave. This time he knocks out the most important members, Peyz and Zhuo. Zhuo ends up dying in the middle of the animation, and there's nothing there for JDG to get more. They protect the turret and at least stall, but that's another death on the Light. That's more summoner spells here coming out from Weibo. You can kind of see it's still difficult. We did nerf Smolder ultimate so that he didn't get the ultimate on every single wave. Another fantastic dive coming on through from Xiaoxu. It was Nefiri, sorry. Nefiri was the one that got knocked back alongside Peyz, but still, it feels like this is everything we wanted here from JDG from the year. Peyz is getting fed, Scout in more of an auxiliary support position, and honestly, I don't know what I was expecting from Xiaoxu, but I did want to see him step up, because he's had games where he's been the hard carry for this team, but if we can get everybody on this page, if we can get Xiaoxu to perform, this could be a JDG that with a little bit of work and a little bit of time, I think fans can finally be proud of.
And remember, going to the start of our show, when we had Slayer and the desk up here, they talked about it. IG, the ones that were so infallible at the start of the season, they're definitely in a more vulnerable state seemingly after what we saw from them against top esports. So if JDG can keep that momentum going into tomorrow, if they're able to close this one out, definitely an opportunity to get a chance to face off against T1. And you know when T1 and JDG face off, sparks are bound to fly. However though, still more work to do, both in this game and in this series. The Dragon spawns in 10 seconds will be sole point here for JDG, and they send a teleport in from Scout to make it all 5 here in the mid lane.
Scout does have ultimate. You can see that Peyz is starting to pepper. He has 3 items, getting closer to that LDR.
Whoa. Jumps forward just to try to knock up Tian, already chunking down the Poppy to half HP. Jungler at lower health is certainly valuable, but the fact that he's not dead, he has an opportunity for a steal. JDG going to try to drag the Dragon away from the pit to make sure that Tian cannot just simply flash over the wall and secure it with a smite. Still in the Keeper's Verdict though. The battle lines are starting to be drawn.
All right, Breathe has to teleport back into this plane. There's no redemption anymore.
Oh, they might have found one onto Xiaoxu, chunked down to very low, but the Dragon is still at 5k, and Shun is still hitting onto it. Tian has an opportunity to go into, but it's just going to be a 50-50. Who's going to get it? Secured once again by the Poppy, and they found Peyz. It's going to be Breed to pick up a massive shutdown for Weibo, and now Light on the Smolder can fully come online. Heroes enter to try to escape. It's going to be a knock-up on a Tian as they will take him down finally, but Weibo still have an opportunity to pick up more kills, to pick up more gold, and to send themselves into the mid lane to claim this tower.
Peyz lost every one of his summoners. Xiaoxu misses the public execution. Another smite going the way of Weibo. Shun, we've had criticisms in series past about him missing smites. This is not the time for his team to be having that mistake coming on through. In an incredibly close game, Weibo fighting for their last chance to make it into Worlds. Just have to play a series tomorrow, but Smolder is getting to that execution point. Nobody from JDG is stopping. And this is my problem with someone like Zhuo on the Alistar. We're not able to really stop this Poppy from getting on through. I've seen it time and time again from this player. Not recognizing when and where he has to be. Like his job, yes, you do have to peel Peyz, but in this moment, I think you need to be stopping Poppy from getting into the pit. And you just gave him a free angle anyway, so Zhuo's watching his AD carry die for free.
Tian has been so clutch in these last couple of fights, finding the smite on the Otacon and then finding one here to get them the dragon and immediately hitting the go button on to Peyz, who, as a 9-0 Zeri, certainly would have won that fight if he was not shut down earlier or any later. However, Weibo are still down in gold, still have a lot of game left to play. It'll get easier and easier though as Light continues to scale. The Smolder at now almost 300 stacks. And a lot of this now goes onto Light's shoulders. He's carried Weibo in the regional finals in the past, gonna have to do it again. As now Chris barely able to escape with that recall. That was way too close for comfort.
He's gonna teleport back in. Almost level 11 here, so not a bad breakpoint coming on through. Scout is in perfect fog of war, gonna get spotted by Crisp. And just turn into a standoff. First waves does go over to JDG. They would most likely like to get a recall in, but this Baron timer is really tough. Zhuo is, I think, a little too far from his team right now.
Takes a big chunk of damage as well. And now it's the Alistar completely separated from the rest of the team. In goes Xiaoxu with the public execution, only on to breathe, and Light's able to keep himself alive for now. The bomb comes out, and it will be Xiaoxu dying first. Zhuo dashes forward, but Light flashes away. It is now the Smolder untouched, but Peyz is still half HP, still trying to stay alive. It's a double kill now in for Light, looking for even more as Xiaohu flashes forward, not able to finish off the Zeri, but in comes Scout, landing a knockup, and it's Peyz and Scout against the world, but Tian will find it. It's a quadra kill. Give it over to him. A penta kill for Light to save Weibo's season.
And this is what we wanted to see. This is Weibo trying to save one last game. Send themselves to game 4. Give them a chance to face IG for that 4th seed going in to the World Qualifying Series. Light is untouched in this fight. Peyz, it's too hard for him to get into that backline, for him to deal damage here. Where is Zhuo in this fight? He is an absentee member. We get a massive ultimate, a great taunt, a short-timed cast from the Poppy Keeper's verdict. But look at Light. He's just firing away. That's his flash now down, but it doesn't matter. Peyz cannot hit any member of this Weibo Gaming team. And you're just giving over free stacks, free time, and potentially a game number 3 to your opponents if you are Jindong Gaming.
And another look at Tian. Just keep your eyes on him. Just finding the opportunity at the perfect moment to engage onto Peyz. And it all sets up for Light. The man who's carried them through the gauntlet in the past. We already know the team fight started up. Is Zhuo way too far forward. He gets taken down by Xiaoxu. And Peyz is dead as well. Light face tanking though. Has a Guardian Angel pop. But it's not going to matter at all. As here comes the rest of Weibo Gaming. Scout finally will take the Smolder down. But it comes at the cost of a full ace for Weibo. They TP into the mid lane. And they're going to keep this series alive.
Oh my god. Zhuo's last 4 deaths have costed JDG this game. It was looking good. We had a 9-0 Zeri here. Ladies and gentlemen, Weibo are not going to go 3-0. It is going to be a 4-game series at the very least. Weibo are going to take us there, and they're going to find a win here in game number 4.
It looked like Weibo's season could have been coming to an end, but in the moment that matters most, they found their light at the end of the tunnel and will pick up a Game 3 win.
Oh my god, man. This is Slayer's fault. I already know. This is Slayer's fault. He's like, guys, don't worry. Weibo are not going to be able to come back. Congrats, JDG, on going up 2-0. There's no way the opponents are able to make it back. Now we're here.
Hey, we get more League of Legends between these two teams, and remember, the last time that they faced off in the regional finals, it went the full distance. It went to 5 games, and that is all we can hope for at this point, is Weibo finally getting a little bit of a breath of life. For JDG, man, they had such a good advantage, but they let the scaling take over, and Xiaohu, Tian, Shun, and Light were able to step up and make sure that this series was not a sweep.
I mean, that's great and all. I'm just really disappointed with how Zhuo's been playing. And it's not like he's a player that we have very high hopes for. He's played fine for some of these games, but I do think that he has been a very lacking member of this team in their losses especially. So I need Zhuo to understand exactly what his job is. I don't think he's going to be necessarily learn, considering I've seen him make this mistake repeatedly so far in Split 3. And if he keeps playing like this, you're going to give Weibo chances back into the series. Maybe this is the win they need in their sales. They're like, okay, we finally got ourselves a win. If we can win 1, we can win 3.
Starts with just 1 game. That's all they could hope for in that Game 3, and they got it. Weibo are alive in the regional finals, and let's send it on over back to the desk, and I'm excited to hear what Slayer has to say to defend himself. Take it away.
Defend myself. Okay, listen. There are 2 easy schools of thought to dissect this, guys. I'm going to take the mantle for a second. 1, if I did jinx JDG, first of all, Alk, you're welcome for another game to cast in 2025, bro. Secondly, are we forgetting how the JDG BLG series went when they went up 2-0? I was being sarcastic and trying to call back to that. So either way, I don't see what the problem is here, guys.
Yeah, no problem. No problems here. Hey, I'm not trying to start beef. I'm not trying to start caster desk beef. I'm trying to stay neutral. Yeah. Well, all I'm seeing right now on my screen is a sharing of over 30,000 damage from both AD carries. Peyz actually out-damaging Light in this game, but it did not matter. The setup was too good coming in from Weibo Gaming. They just had better tools to be able to take care of these fights, and some really bad execution coming down, especially around the Dragon, for JDG really end up costing them. Nice stuff from Weibo to find opportunities and avenues to be able to get themselves back into this game. People are going to look at the mistakes, but I think the Poppy from Tian was absolutely massive in, creating everything here, and obviously you had the follow-up from the hyper carry.
Alk is absolutely right. Not on being mean to you, Seth. No, not about that, Von. About the fact that Zhuo has been bad this series. I mean, he's had a couple moments where it's been alright, but that Nautilus in the previous game nearly cost him the game, and then in this one, I mean, just top to bottom, so many moments where he's just not playing this one well, and you have to in this situation. When you've got yourself an ADC like the Zeri, when Peyz is playing as well as he was, he's just never being protected by his Alistar. That's your whole job in this game, is to protect the Zeri, buy space and time for him to be able to do his thing, and that just wasn't happening, and that's a big reason why this comeback happens. That was a 4.8k gold lead pretty much throughout the entire game here for JDG, and they were never able to fully capitalize on that because these team fights just keep going wrong. It's not fully Zhou's fault, though. I would like to say it's, again, JDG are not setting up around these objectives well. Every single time, they just sort of do the setup by, hey, we're here. We're all here. We're in front. You see us. Here we are. There's no big wards for big flanks. There's no moments where somebody's coming at you from a different angle. There's no interesting engagers really coming through for the most part. Their setup is that we arrive and we play the fight. And yeah, you've got more of a front-to-back team fighting composition, but if you're never showing different looks to your opponents, they're going to know where everybody is, and it makes playing out these team fights so much easier.
Yeah, I think that last point really hits home for me, Bloxer, is I think that you pair in the fact that Zhuo, you want him to play more bodyguard, but you're also looking at a composition that we'll talk about more from JDG where you're picking like a Galio to try and throw himself in, and a Bessa that is trying to go forward. So Zhuo, I think too many times got caught in trying to play fast with his front line instead of playing to protect the Zeri. I also think that like towards the end of some of these games, like particularly the pentakill fight for Light, like you could see the panic start to set in for JDG that maybe they're realizing we get outscaled here, right? Like Xiaoxu throws himself in first, Scout goes in later, Zhuo goes in later. It's like falling in, they're funneling in. You kind of got the sense that JDG felt that game was slipping out of their hands. And K-Man, for one big reason, that has to be the player of the game, as he's obviously going to get. Light turning the dial back a bit on this Smolder to take over.
We have been demanding more from Light. I think that that's fair to say throughout a lot of this year, and we know that he has a history and a reputation for being able to show up here in the regional qualifiers for the World Championships. Well, that's the version of him that got activated in game number 3. Back up against the wall, he said, we need someone to drag us out of it. It can be me. He needs to continue to do it, but at least in this game, he had the opportunity, I think, more so to do it than maybe someone like Peyz did on the other side. We'll get a chance to talk about draft a little bit, but I think JDG should have been much more worried about this Smolder than they were. It really felt like they just kind of wanted to take every fight. They wanted to try and opt into skirmishing all this time, and these fights aren't easy for JDG to be able to execute on, and so, you know, there is a lot of up and down, but it's going to be Tian. You know,
I'm sorry I didn't give you your platform in time, but loyal viewers, K-Man was advocating for this MVP before we got on here.
Yeah, no, I think Tian had a phenomenal game on this Poppy. I really do think he set up basically everything here.
That's fine. That's fine. Listen, at the end of the day, the only people I think could really be mad at me is JDG fans, because I've unfortunately cast this upon you, but everybody else, you should be happy that I've gotten us more games in the LPL when we have so very few left, Bloxer.
I predicted the 3-1 to JDG. Every team has it in them to throw a game 3 and then come back and win game 4 anyway, and we all look after the series and go, what was the point? Why did game 3 even happen? What are we doing here? And this could potentially be it. I'm happy. My prediction still lives. As much as I wasn't sure about it on top of show, I will be bragging when it comes true later.
Hey, we're still alive as well. Slayer and I with the 3-2 are still in the mix. You cannot forget about the reverse sweep potential.
All right, guys, let's start breaking into some of this stuff we